Hello, my name is Hannah Moyo and I'm Head of Consulting UK here at the Storytellers. I'm delighted to be speaking to you as part of the Innov8 Work Conference today. Here at the Storytellers, we specialise in the human side of change. Be that culture change, digital transformation, we help leaders and engage people so that every person can see the part that they can play in the overall strategy and vision of the future. We do this by resetting an organization's narrative and creating a culture of storytelling, because stories are the currency of change. And for 17 years now, we've worked with over 180 major organizations, helping them to increase the pace of change, saving time, increasing productivity, but saving costs and stress along the way. So I want to share a few things with you today. Firstly, the principles of storytelling and why they're so important in creating meaning and purpose in our lives. Secondly, why great leaders are great storytellers. And thirdly, the impact that we can have by creating a narrative and a culture of storytelling in organizations. Here is an image of a prehistoric cave painting. It tells us a lot about the development of early communication. These paintings from hundreds, thousands of years ago are beautiful examples of storytelling. But what do they depict? Well, it could be a warning to the rest of the tribe about a bison across a river. It could be a celebration of a hunting expedition. It could be a cultural or religious ritual between man and beast, a form of education. Whatever it is, there's a meaning behind it. And stories, we're still doing this with stories today. Be that we're talking about we speak stories, we have them on social media. Alan Kay from Walt Disney said that we're all just cavemen with briefcases, hungry for a wise person to tell us stories. Because stories excite us, they connect us, they help us to learn, to celebrate, to entertain, to influence, and to warn. They help us to communicate. And if we apply this in the workplace, they can help us to communicate and really drive the pace of change in a way like no other. They help us to create a sense of purpose and connect those around us to the journey that we all want to go on. I'm going to share with you 4 principles. The first that creates meaning and purpose is our struggles and endeavours. We relate when we can see a fellow human being going through or battling a situation to win. We like the anticipation of what could happen, and we can often relate to this ourselves. In many of the top films, in Star Wars, Harry Potter, James Bond, we see this done so effectively. And if we can share those stories where we've overcome a challenge at work, this will really help others to empathize with us and relate to it. And this is the power of storytelling in business. The second is a call to action. This helps to create meaning and purpose. And a great example of this is the global narrative on climate change. We've seen images such as that on the left, where the use of single-use plastics is just harming our planet. We need to do something. There's a sense of urgency that's being created. Greta Thunberg has been so powerful in driving and helping to create this movement of change. And now we're all looking for the individual part we can play in reversing the actions of humans over the past years and take action before it's too late for future generations. Thirdly, the third principle is all about contributing to something bigger than ourselves. A great example of this is the man sweeping the floor in the NASA. He doesn't want to just be sweeping the floor. It's much more meaningful if we can say, you're sweeping the floor is helping to put man on the moon. And that is really motivating. That is much more motivating than saying purely just sweep the floor. We need to see the part that we can play in the wider organization journey. And lastly, the emotional connection. So life used to be pretty simple, but now we're surrounded by text, by notifications and social media and updates and news. We are never switching off. And this means that we need to create meaning from abstract information much more so than we used to. And storytelling is a way to do this. Now here you can see an image that highlights the limbic side of the brain. It's the area that controls our emotions and memories. And the moment you say, let me tell you a story, 7 areas of the brain light up. And these areas control movement, processing, imagination, and color. Dopamine and oxytocin are released. And yes, I have your attention. So to recap these 4 storytelling principles, we can create meaning by sharing struggles and endeavours, by creating a call to action, by showing that we're contributing to something bigger than ourselves, and lastly, by creating that emotional connection. And we can also do this in the way that we tell our story. Great leaders are great storytellers. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech is one of the greatest examples of this. He helped his audience to see how they could envision a future of hope. It really gave them hope and belief in the journey ahead. And every person was motivated in order to make that belief and that vision a reality. If we can do the same in business, just think about what could be achieved. And so when we have worked with clients to reset their narrative and drive storytelling, we've seen tangible results that you can see on the screen to create a framework for decision-making and dialogue. And many chief executives say that they would not have been able to achieve this success if it were not for the story. So we'd love to talk with you more on taking a story-driven approach and how it can really help you to make change happen in your organization. So come to us to talk further. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you to Ben and the team at Innov8 for having us as part of this conference. Looking forward to the rest of it. Thank you and goodbye.